1. We are live.
I forgot to ask Stephen, is there anybody participating by any appellants by Zoom?
So our applicants both person.
Okay, I'll skip the Zoom part then. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me via Zoom is Marcel Larandro, and in the room is Maurice Terrian. The assessor today is Jamie Fougere, and the recording secretary is Stephen Lunn. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. We advise that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order which will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application being brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Mr. Lund, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jamie Fougere.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And should I swear both applicants at the same time, Mr. Chair? I'll swear you both in.
Sure.
All right, Mr. Applicant, please state your full name. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, please state your full name. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
All right. The first property on today's docket is 550 Sterling Lion Parkway, and the issue is assessed value. So, Mr. Fouché, you can begin.
Yeah, so I should just double check that everybody has received. I sent a PDF, which was a list of the recommendations that I'm going to offer today. Does everybody have that?
That'll be your SharePoint, Mr. Chair.
Let's see. No, I'm not in. Was it? Yeah, I better.
It's the second from the bottom.
Second from the bottom? Recommend. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I've got it. So now you can proceed.
Great. Okay, yeah. So with that document, I've put it in order of sort of the list of properties on our docket today. So hopefully it's easy to follow that way. But the first one that we have is 515 Sterling Lion Parkway. The roll number is 1000-676-67700. And the original assessed value is $18,567,000. And we've called this a commercial retail warehouse. And it sits on 463,993 square feet of land. And the plan area is approximately 47,742 square feet. And you can see on page 2 of my brief, just to sort of orient yourself off of Sterling Lion here. So the subject property is the thicker purple outline. And just next door to the, I guess that would be east, is the IKEA. And then sort of all the way west, you can see the corner of a building. I believe that's Cabela's. And so obviously there is some vacant land here that is planned for future development. So I think I'll just quickly just point out where I have my comparables. I have them on page 5. So as mentioned, though, I do have a recommendation. I just wanted to guide you to where the rental comparables are. So with the recommendation, if you're able to open up the other document that I had sent, the recommendations for October 19th. The first property here, we have the subject that we're discussing, 550 Sterling Lion. And you can see on the left-hand side, this is the original assessment. And then on the right-hand side, we have the revised, proposed revised assessment. And so here we've made a few changes. We've looked at the actual rental rates. We've made a 1% bump on the vacancy. We increased the shortfall, as this is maybe more appropriate for a larger property like this. And we've increased the cap rate a quarter point to 6.5. And we've basically rounded the land adjustment that you had seen there with the vacant land that is marked for future development. So the overall figure goes from 18,567,000 down to 15,851,000 for our recommendation.
Okay. And how do you feel about that recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, it's so I have conduct of this matter. Mr. Fougere and I have been in extensive discussions that resulted in this number. I am in agreement with the number, and I've presented my recommendations to the owner. The one thing I don't have back yet is express authorization from the owner concerning this number, but I would suggest that, as I say, I'm very comfortable with this number, and I would suggest that the board make the order accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maurice, do you have any questions of the assessor on his recommendation?
Oh, I'm fine. I've got the picture.
Okay, Marcel?
My only question, Stephen, is not Steve. Yeah, Stephen. When you're showing the map on your page 2, the roadway. Why is it allocated to this one property when everybody's using that roadway?
This is the boundaries that have been set up with the ownership of the various parcels. I believe that there would be an easement for the surrounding roll numbers to use that road. I think largely the area west of the IKEA is in fact owned by the same owners. There may be some exceptions there, and maybe Mr. Reimer can speak to that. But with regards to the allocation of the road, This is according to the legal title associated with the property. So that's not something that we've set up that way.
But are you taking that into consideration for the excess land?
No, the area for the excess land, in fact, you can see sort of the, I guess you call it dirt, dirt area just beside the subject building. And some of the, about half of the parking, maybe a little bit less, that's directly in front of that dirt area. So you can see sort of there's the entrance to the subject building there. It's the area just to the west of that. We have approximately half of that parking area. And then we have basically the dirt area that's right next door to the subject building as the area allocated for excess land.
And Mr. Chairman, I can sort of supplement those comments because I've been reviewing these for a longer period of time than Mr. Fougere. So the comment as to the ownership, yes, indeed, it is the same ownership group for the development as a whole there to the west of IKEA. And the excess land issue has been debated at length in previous cycles, and certainly the description that Mr. Fougere has put on it, we're very comfortable with that based on everything that's happened to date over the previous two cycles for that adjustment.
Thank you.
Okay, so then the next property is 696 Sterling Lion Parkway. So again, Mr. Fougere, you can begin.
Okay, so the address is 696 Sterling Lion Parkway. The roll number is 100067777095. We've also described this property as a retail warehouse. This building sits on 513,433 square feet of land. The plan area is 39,785 square feet. And so this is the rec room off of Sterling Line here. You can see the overhead shot on page 2 of my brief. And I believe in Mr. Reimer's brief, there's a sort of an aerial view of the measurement of excess land, just to point out. So we do have some of the area here, basically up to the road. We have not included the road for the excess land. And basically the dirt area, and I believe it's part of the parking. Basically, if you look, or the road that comes off of Sterling Line, and then the one that turns into the subject property, it sort of bifurcates the property here. Basically, the parking area to the south, I believe, is part of the excess land calculation. And then you can see on page 3 the building itself. And again, we have a recommendation here. So the original assessed value was $20,336,000. And you can see on the second page of the recommendations document what we have done as part of that recommendation. So we have adjusted the rental rate, and the original areas that we have here related to the information that was available through the permits for the new construction, because this is a 2020 build. I have, for the purposes of an agreement here, used the lease area. So what they have on their actual lease, they've described as 40,000 square feet There is a sort of a second floor mezz area with sort of staff washrooms and whatnot. But here, we've just opted to use the actual lease in place, which I think is strong here with 1875. We've made a small allowance on the vacancy. We've increased the shortfall to $10, and we've made a quarter-point adjustment on the capitalization rate. And then similarly with the last property that we looked at, I've basically just rounded the excess land calculation. And so the original assessment was $20,093,000, and we're prepared to offer $15,194,000 for our recommendation.
Okay, Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about that?
Same situation as the previous one. We're very comfortable with it. We've made the recommendation. I do not yet have confirmation of instructions, but I would ask the board in these circumstances to order accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, Maurice, any questions?
No, I'm fine. Got the picture.
Marcel, any questions?
Nope, good.
Yeah. Now, you all realize at one point in time in this hearing, I will get your names confused, but excuse me in advance. All right. So thank you for that. Then we will now move on to the next property, 2365 McGilvery.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I just had a suggestion. Mr. Reimer has just one property remaining. I know it's out of order, but I would like to point out that maybe just in order to be able to sort of let him go, maybe we could deal with 2860 Pembina Highway, if that would be okay with everybody. Sure, I've already kept Mr. Reimer around longer than necessary once this week. I won't do it twice. We'll do 2860 Pembina then. Okay, so the as I say, the address is 2860 Pembina. The roll number is 03092993 565, and the original assessment here was $11,409,000. The land that the property sits on is 310,266 square feet. The plan area of the building is 71,729 square feet. We've categorized this as a retail warehouse. You can see on page 2, this is the property that has the PV Mart, as well as a Dollarama, and they're waiting for a last tenant to fill in Unit 10 of this property. This used to be where the enclosed mall that had Safeway and Zellers was. When they renovated it and put in the new Sobeys, basically they did extensive renovations on the subject property here that we're discussing today. So you can see a Google Street View of it at the bottom of page 2. At this point, I'll just refer you again to what is the last page of my recommendations PDF. And so the very last page, page 9, is 2860 Pembina Highway. And so this here, you can see what the changes that we've made. We've adjusted the rental rates to the actuals, although notably the area, the unit that is still vacant, the 23,491 square feet, we've used $14.50 as a rental rate, which we've effectively adjusted on the back end with a unfinished allowance. You can see that it's not not labeled properly here, but basically the adjustment just after the capitalization rate is an unfinished adjustment for that unit because it is in fact unfinished, and that's been confirmed. And the other probably significant part of this recommendation is to the vacancy allowance. I looked at the vacancy at this property over the last 3 years on sort of like a prorated by area and by amount of days that it's been vacant. And we have a vacancy guideline internally at our department, and I've used 16% here to recognize that even the Dollarama didn't come online until a little bit later. And so we've made that adjustment, and then the last adjustment is on the capitalization rate from 6.65 to 6.75. So the overall value goes from $11,409,000 to $7,842,000.
Okay. And Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about this?
Mr. Chairman, we do agree with $7,842,000, and we have instructions from the owner to that regard. So we ask the board reduce the value to $7,842,000. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just, Mr. Chairman, again, clarification on what was the right term for capitalized land adjustment? What's supposed to be?
Yes, I apologize. That's that I've not changed that label, and it should be changed. It should be an unfinished allowance, and that relates to the unit 10 of the property, which is 23,491 square feet.
Yeah, I think you had explained this, but I have missed the terminology, and I just want to make sure I understood.
Right.
I think the rest is fine because I had my comparables in my sheet already, so I knew where we were at. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So I guess that concludes that property, and then we'll go back to 2365 McGillivray then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will then leave with your permission, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, now.
Okay. So if we're ready.
Yep. Okay.
The next property is 2365 McGillivray Boulevard. The roll number is 10006426200. And the original assessed value here is $30,624,000. The land area that it sits on, the subject property sits on, is 621,489 square feet. The plan area of the building is 152,138 square feet. We've called this a retail warehouse. And so you can see the pictures of the subject property starting on page 2. This is the Costco, just off of Kenniston. So it's on McGillivray. And you can see the building at the bottom of page 2, and then the gas bar at the top of page 3. And so I just wanted to point out where to find my comparables here. I have them on page 5. And a few of the comparables that I might try to point your attention to are the last two. They are 2305 McPhillips and 750 St. James. These are two very large retailers. there isn't a lot of information out there for areas, rental rates on areas this large. But we have two there that I wanted to point out. The other one that I wanted to point out was, let's see here. Second from the top here, 61,510 square feet at 875 St. James. And we have a rental rate of $14. So I think those are probably the most comparable. And then we also have some comparable pad site gas station rental rates on page 6. And then I'll point towards our capitalization rate chart here. And so we don't actually have this particular property type within here, but just to demonstrate, generally retail capitalization rates are between 6 and 6.75, generally speaking, with some that would be outside of that range. But for this property type, that's what I would expect to see. And then next, if I can get you to take a look at the page 3 of our recommendations document. And this is where we have the original assessment. So because there's two income streams, I've done this over 2 pages. So this is the original on page 3. And then on the following page, page 4, you can see what the revised proposed assessment would be. And so we've adjusted the main area's rental rate from $13.60 down to $13, and then I believe it's a garden center area from $7.72 down to $7. And we've also increased the capitalization rate for both income streams, the gas station as well as the grocery store. And so for the gas station, we had 4.8, and the grocery store, we had 6.3. We're now proposing using 6.5 for both streams. And so the original assessed value was $30,624,000. We're proposing that we reduce the assessment to $28,519,000.
Okay, Mr. Slaughter, how do you feel about that number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've communicated that to the client, and they have provided their agreement, so we accept. Thank you.
Okay, so that was 28,519. Okay, any questions from the panel?
I got a question here. Maybe I'm out of line. I thought you mentioned the rent was at 13, and I see it's 13.54 on the rec. Did you say 13, or you said 13.54?
So on just to make sure that we're looking at the right page, we're looking at page 4.
I'm looking at your rec here.
Yeah, because there's 2 income streams, I have put the recommendation over 2 pages.
Yeah, maybe I haven't. Just a minute. Give me a second. Okay. So where's the second page?
So it should be.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The next page there.
1294. Is that what we're looking at? Oh, 13 at the top. I see.
Right.
Here's the 1294. Okay.
Right.
I was looking at the wrong page. I was looking at page 1, so it's page 2 actually.
You got it.
Okay.
Right.
A little slow on the draw here, but I think I managed.
It comes at you fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. We will go on to 1999 Bishop Grandin. Let me just open those files. No, sorry, not Bishop Grandin. I'm ahead of my time again. 1645 Keniston. And there is a non-co-op requested on this. So Mr. Fougere on the non-co-op.
Yeah, so maybe I'll quickly speak to that first. The roll number that we have here is 10006421 The address is 1645 Keniston Boulevard. And as mentioned, we do have a request for the penalties and the deferral. And if you scroll down in my brief, on page 9, this is the signature and tracking number showing receipt of our registered mail sent, the second mailing sent to the property owner. And then on page 10 through to the end is a blank, basically reprinting of what was sent out. And so with that, I would like to request the penalties and deferral take effect on this property.
Okay. Mr. Slaughter on the non-co-op.
Mr. Chairman, I've reached out to the client to discuss this issue and the recommendations as well, and have not heard back at this time. The assessor was good enough to provide me the evidence of why they felt the penalty should be applied, and absent of any other information from the client, I am in a position that I will have to accept them.
Okay, so non-co-op accepted. Okay, so Mr. Slaughter, then your presentation would go first, but I understand there is a recommendation coming up from the city.
Right. I'd be happy to briefly explain the recommendation, and with Mr. Slaughter's turn to speak, maybe he can speak to whether he would accept it before sort of launching into his presentation, if that would work for everyone.
Okay, I think it would be best if Mr. Slaughter would indicate whether he's in agreement with the recommendation, and then in which case then you can read it into the record.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, we've reached out to the client with our communication about both the penalty issue and the offer to reduce the assessment. We recommend acceptance of that, but we haven't had the formal agreement received. So in absence of that, I will accept the recommendation, and should the client disagree, we can take appropriate action at the time.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Fougere, then can you read in the information then? The recommendation?
Sure. So having said that, maybe just to quickly point out what this property is, if you don't mind turning back to my brief for a moment. The original assessed value was $17,497,000. This is the Home Depot on Keniston. The land area that it sits on is 322,735 square feet. The plan area of the building is 100,061 square feet. And you can see an overhead shot of where it's located on Keniston on page 2. So it's sort of nestled in between the Safeway to the north and the Walmart to the south. and you can see the Google Street View on the bottom of page 2. And then if you don't mind turning back to my recommendations PDF on page 5, we have the original assessment on the left-hand side and the recommended assessment on the right-hand side. And you can see here we've reduced the rental rate and then increased the capitalization rate from 6.4 to 6.5. And again, because of the penalties, we ask that the recommendation take effect in 2024 and not for the first year, which would be 2023.
Okay. Are there any questions from the panel?
I'm still reading.
No, I guess the previous figure of the appellant was 16,839, and you're up to 17,016,000.
Right.
Well, we're at 17,497. I've got these on my notes, but I'm just rechecking. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Marcel, do you have any questions arising then?
Yeah, I do. I'm having a trouble with this. You're making a recommendation, but you're saying you don't want it to take place till 2024 because of the penalty. But this is the 2023 value, correct?
Right. So as per the legislation, we're asking that the change in assessment not take effect until the second year of the cycle.
I got to ask the question then. Have they been not submitting the information prior to this?
They have submitted in 2018. They did not submit in 2019, 2020, or 2021.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, my apologies. I guess we should have conferred briefly on the non-co-op, but seeing there was an agreement on the non-co-op between the parties, I thought the decision would be perforce to grant it. Okay. And the recommendation was 17,016. All right, turning the page now, we go to 1999. Bishop Grandin.
$17.99. Try 1999.
That's what I said. 1999.
Okay.
All right. Now, once again, we have a non-co-op requested. Open the files. Okay, so Mr. Fougere, first of all, on the non-co-op.
Sure. So the roll number here is 0802-1207-400. The address is 1999 Bishop Grandin. Again, like the last property, they have not responded to a request for information since 2018. And I'll just quickly point out the information. We have the signature on, again, on page 9 of my brief. And so this is the tracking number for the mailing relating to this property. And that's the signature on page 9. And then starting on page 10 is the reprinting of what had been sent to the property owner. And so again, we're seeking the penalties.
Okay, Mr. Slaughter, then on the penalties.
Yeah, once again, Mr. Chairman, without having received any further information from the client, we will have to accept them in this case.
Okay, now, from the panel, do you feel any need to discuss this in camera?
I don't think so. What my colleague on the previous case asked about the record, I was going to ask that one, but I never got a chance last time. But he covered that, and I see it's covered in this one as well. That's 2019 and 2020 record. So I'm okay now, but I was going to ask it last, but he beat me to it.
Okay, and once again, my apologies for jumping ahead.
Chairman, we'll allow you to do that.
Okay, Marcel, any did you see any need to confer in camera?
No, my question's been answered.
Okay, so then the non-co-op will be granted. And I guess for expediency, we will do what we did last time. So, first of all, Mr. Slaughter, are you going to be accepting the recommendation from the city?
Yes, absent of the client's formal agreement, we will accept on their behalf, and should they disagree, in that rare instance, we can take appropriate action at that time.
All right, so Mr. Fouger, can you lead us through your recommendation then?
Sure. So this is, again, another Home Depot, this one on Bishop Grandin with the cross street of St. Anne's. It sits on 285,440 square feet of land. The plan area of the building is 114,098 square feet. And you can see on page 2 the overhead shot here of the subject property. It does look like a little bit of a mess, just a heads up here on the overhead picture of the outlines of the site. It is the thicker purple here. What you're seeing with this area that crosses through the parking lot is part of I believe it's a Manitoba Hydro right of way. So I believe that there are agreements with Hydro to address that, but that is in part at Mr. Slaughter's pointing out that I've made another concession on the capitalization rate. And you can see the bottom of page 2 is the Google Street View of the property. And then if you can, I would just point you to the recommendations PDF on page 6. We have the original assessment on the left-hand side, and we have the proposed assessment on the right-hand side. And so there's a reduction in the in the rental rate from $12.50 to $12.25, and then on the garden area from $8 down to $7, as well as an adjustment to the capitalization rate from 6.5 to 6.75. And so the overall assessment goes from $20,106,000 down to $18,951,000.
Okay, are there questions from the panel on this?
Mr. Chairman, I looking at the rec, and I see the 1220 is the same as what the appellant had submitted originally. Is the combination of the two rents, 1225 and 7, consistent with what the appellant had put in last time at the on the brief? Because I looked at all the rest, but that figure seemed to be the same as what they had requested. Am I clear, or I'm confusing you?
Are you asking about their brief,
Well,
like last cycle?
yeah, their brief in this cycle was 1220 for rent. If I go back, and
Right.
you're going to 1220 now, and I just wondered if that was consistent with their brief, or if the gymnastic of 1225 and 7 was what they had requested as well.
I believe
Not to
that's
confuse you.
no, that's okay. I believe that's what they had requested as well.
Yeah, I don't have
What?
the evidence here.
You don't? Okay, well, I could go back to it, but that's what my note shows.
If memory serves, that's exactly what it was. Just
Okay, so it's all the rest that was changed basically, and your appeal and what their recommendation is. Okay, that's all, Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to make sure I'm following everything here.
All right, Marcel, any questions on?
The only thing I got for you, Mr. Chair, is I'm wondering if the roll number was read in, because I was confused at the beginning if he read the roll number in.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I did read it right at the very beginning before I discussed the non-compliance.
Yeah.
But if you like, I can read it again as well.
No, if you did, that's fine. I just missed it, that's all. I guess I was on coffee break.
Yeah, you're making another cup of coffee there.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for that property. Now we go to 600 Pembina. So the issue is only assessed value here. So Mr. Fouget.
All right, so the next property here, as you say, 600 Pembina Highway. The roll number is 12014613500. And the land area that the subject sits on is 118,606 square feet. The plan area is 44,623 square feet. And this is the McMahon and Yates at Pembina and McGillivray, basically, kitty corner to McGillivray. And, Grant, I should say. And so you can see the building at the bottom. There's a Google Street View of the subject. And then I'll turn you to my recommendations document again, page 7. We have the original assessment on the left-hand side. And this is a recommendation on the right-hand side. And these rental rates were suggested by Mr. Slaughter, and I'm in agreement with them, looking at the market evidence. The other, and actually, I think that's the only change here. So the original assessment was $5,636,000, and we're proposing that we reduce it to $4,998,000.
You also changed the cap rate.
Yeah, I think it was 6.8 in both instances, wasn't it?
Right. I think 6.8 for the original, and 6.8 still with the recommendation. And this is again 600 Pembina, page 7 on the recommendations PDF.
Okay, Mr. Slaughter, how do you feel about this recommendation?
We would like to accept on the client's behalf.
Okay, because I noted that the only remaining difference would be the expenses. ratio.
You know, about that issue, but we look at the overall value of that.
Yeah, we accept that your agreement is only on the final value and not necessarily how you get there. Any questions from the panel on this one then?
I'm fine, Mr. Chairman.
I'm fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then we come to our last remaining property, 1845 Pembina.
Yeah, so
Let me just open the files here.
for sure.
I can't write and think at the same time.
Comes with age, Mr. Chairman.
That explains a lot of my scribbling. Okay, Mr. Fougere, you can begin.
All right, so the roll number here is 0306508190. This is 1845 Pembina Highway. The land area that it sits on is 76,860 square feet. The plan area of the building is 29,974 square feet. We're calling this a retail warehouse. So you can see the property on page 2 of my brief. Atop, you have the overhead shot of the roll number here. And then on the bottom of the page 2, we have the Long and McQuaid building that you can see from the Google Street View, as well as the other tenant that's a little bit tucked away, which is Gulf Tech. And so if you want to take a look at, again, at my recommendations PDF, this one is on page 8. And again, it's 1845 Pembina Highway. And so the original assessment is on the left-hand side, and our recommended assessment is on the right-hand side. And so we've adjusted the rental rates. You can see the areas have been adjusted slightly with accordance to what's reported. And so the first two on the left-hand side were both belonging to Long and McQuaid. So if you see, you know, a sizable change there, that's why. So it's going from 18,000 plus the 6,500 to the 23,762 square feet. And then the only other change that we've made is to the capitalization rate from 6.4 to 6.5. So overall, the assessment would go from $6,084,000 to $5,649,000.
Okay, Mr. Slaughter, how do you feel about that number?
Once again, Mr. Chairman, we haven't had the formal acceptance from the owner. It is, there's quite a delta between our original position and the offer, but I have thought about it and I will accept on the client's behalf. Again, should they disagree, we can take appropriate action at that time.
All right. Are there any questions from the panel on this property?
No, I think I'm fine. I'm sorry, my colleague. Go ahead.
No, I got nothing. I'm good, Monsieur Terrien.
You're okay. I'm good too. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much then. We have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. So thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Okay, have a good day.